Right, greetings everyone, and as I shift around in my chairs, welcome to another video. It's time to talk about our newest addition to Wotv, Rikku. Rikku is available now on the JP side. It will be roughly about 1 month until she is available on global, give or take whatever the hell happens between now and then. All right. And yeah, we're gonna be previewing Rikku. We have lots to talk about. We have her weapon, which is essentially obtained through a special quest. Does look pretty nice. 162 dagger. It does have evasion on it, so that will basically mean that it will be, useful for a good amount of time. We can see that it is powering up offense. We have 30% attack boost from here. We also have critical status, just being a little bit interesting here. Take a look at this. Increase evasion for 1 turn when a critical hit occurs. Increase evasion cancels after taking 3 damage 15 times. So there's a couple of things here. So sorry, I'm reading a little bit across, but we essentially have a critical hit increasing evasion, and it doesn't seem to say exactly how much, because the second one is basically just increases evasion by 15 for 3 until you get hit 3 times. So if you're, your opponent is super accurate, well, not super great, but this is really nice. And once again, Rikku only. So Rikku does get a hell of a lot of already evasion and offensive support from this piece of equipment, and it's not a +5. There is just 1 of this, and I can assume why. They would not want this dagger floating around too much more, because it is a fair amount of strength, and if these abilities were remotely applicable to other characters, well, we might just have an evasion meta on our hands. Also talking about something that just can't be ignored, the evasion rate card, 24% for 24 up for evasion, 12% for speed. Not the best speed card in the world, obviously. I think that it is a potential balance depending on which characters are in the party, whether you want to run this or a better speed card. Is it better to outspeed your opponent? Because if they have high accuracy, well, you might be dead anyway. So a little bit of decision making to be done off of this, but sure. This is an evasion card, and I think evasion fans will be quite happy to have that VC accessible to them. Trust Mastery. This Trust Mastery, an accessory, 5 defense, 3 agility, 15 evade. Trust Mastery skill increases attack by 40% for 4 turns for self, increases reaction block by 50 for 4 turns, grants the following effect of increasing chance of blind by 25% for 3 turns or 4 turns. So interesting. It also has 2 uses on it, but it is just her and only her. Basically, kind of, if we were thinking about building, which is what this video is about, building Rikku is essentially going to be very, very heavily focused on potentially just being either a partner evasion character or a evade character. Like every single thing in her kit that we've looked at so far is all focused on boosting evasion. And taking a look at that, I mean, like, our evasiveness is at 117, speed at 121. For a comparison here, Ashen Mont is 115 and 61 evasion. So given the equipment that is available, here, evasion people will be able to pick out the evasion cards, obviously, but there isn't that much evasion support in this current build of Earth. If we were to take a look at Rikku just in a non-evasion one, we're going down to 107, so it does hold up pretty well, and you can probably boost her evasion more than this to be generally nice. And in this speed-based one, 124, which is really fast. Luck only of 386, but again, choosing specific vision cards would be a improvement for that. All right, some other things of note: master ability was luck up and single target resistance penetration. Dream ability, single target resistance, critical damage, and critical evasion, all pretty nice for this character. And also her move and jump, 4 and 2 apiece, which is quite good. It means that she will be able to she's almost certainly going to always be one of the first ones into battle, which could be really good if you were to generate some hate on her before moving around. Well, that's pretty good. Resistances aren't great, but she does have very few weaknesses here. And good against lightning, not super good against elements. In terms of, I guess, status effect resistance, feels like it misses by a considerable margin what the meta is. Like no innate curse resistance, no frostbite resistance, and also while she has don't move resistance, she doesn't have don't act resistance. I mean, if you look at the most powerful characters in the meta right now, also confusion too, this isn't great. That could be particularly a bit of a sticking point for Rikku. All right, so this is my first time looking at this character. This data has just come out, so I'm going to be a little bit slower today on the recommendations. So let's start with support. Take a look at what we have for support. So our first support ability: increase defense penetration by 40, reduce magical damage taken by 12, increase slash attack resistance penetration by 40. Physical and magical damage is reduced by 40, but it's removed after one hit. 200% chance of physical damage for self removed after 3 hits. So Rikku, soon as she starts getting hit, her performance is going down. Taking a look at her second ability, agility and evasion rate. I mean, okay, comparatively, Monk is strike attack and attack up as well as HP up. Both of those I think are pretty useless here. Skipping. In terms of her other one, which is the Griffords, we're looking at attack and AP consumption down. Attack up, AP consumption down, HP up, and elemental chain resistance. Yeah, I think this is the most straightforward build of the year award for supports. There's no question about it. It's both of her original supports, and I just can't see a reason why you would want any of this other stuff. I mean, it's just essentially everything that she wants is just already built into her 2-1s. Okay, now counter ability, interestingly enough, counter to slash and magic damage, very useful right now. 121, and also it's a preemptive counter, which is very good. Very nice range on it. Yeah, I like this a lot. Monk is incredibly short range, so it's very useless, just one panel. And Griffords, chance to counter all damage by increasing AoE resistance for 1 turn for allies. That could be useful in certain spots against AoEs, because Rikku could get caught in more AoEs, which just gives her more of a chance of getting hit. But yeah, I don't think this is terrible at all. I just think that her first one, I mean, if you're interested in damage, go with that. If you're interested in survivability, AoE resistance is nice, but for 1 turn isn't super great. Limit Burst, just want to make mention of it since it's brand new. Select up to 2 targets, increase slash attack resistance by 30 for 3 turns. 240 damage and 40% chance to inflict Berserk. That's a much higher chance of Berserk than, some of the other abilities we've seen recently. That could be just really good and a pretty big tide turner, so I would keep that in mind. Now, looking at our sub-jobs, Axe Knight really increases defense, strike resistance, elemental chain resistance, also gives some potential that HP heal of 20% and curing a bunch of status effects. Although if you already have Frostbite, Poison, Silence, Blind, Paralyze, Immobilize, might not matter that much anyway. Counter to reduce damage, move to unit target panel, and increase the more enemies that are in the AoE. Axe Knight is okay. That move to unit panel might be really nice. But I don't know, like there isn't a ton of AP cost down in Rikku's kit that I've seen as of yet. That makes me a little bit concerned that when it comes to trying to fire off a Limit Burst, she uses any other abilities first, which is quite possible because the range on the limit burst is not that amazing, well, then yeah, I don't know. I think that Axe Knight synergizes nice with the damage type, but not much else. Monk, I can't see a reason why you'll be running Monk, so no. But yeah, that. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All right. What you're giving up is a ability that can decrease earth resistance. It's a multi-hitter, and it decreases earth resistance by 30%. If you're running in an earth elemental team, that's pretty nice. And the other one is a select 2 target, 25% chance to inflict stop. That's considerably lower. Any stop resistance at all makes this ability quite useless. It's tough to say. Like in an earth-based party, you're, I think, running her. This is her sub job, and for other ones, God, maybe you're just running Axe Knight for some of the extra buffs and movement and damage options that she has access to. Not particularly synergistic with her kit, but honestly, in terms of the subs, I don't like Monk. I don't think that her primary one is really all that incredible of an addition, and Axe Knight really isn't contributing to the evasion plan, so I mean, it's all lukewarm at best. Choose whichever you like. I'm pretty unimpressed with all of it, but that's just me. Now, looking at the other abilities we have, looks like there's one on Wotv that I will have to double check on. First ability, just steal from the target. When the target is killed, automatically cast another ability, which basically increases CT for herself. It can't be activated too many times, so it should be generally pretty fair. Moving on, this HP ability is actually one of her higher level ones. Just a 170 hit everything around her, absorb 50% of the damage done. Okay, I mean, no complaints whatsoever. I can't tell if it's really all that good, but sure. Why not? All right, next ability. This is an upgraded one. Increase agility by 25% for 4 turns for allies. Increase evasion by 25. Give 200% chance for ignoring a fatal damage. Grants effect of decreasing single target resistance for 3 turns when attack hits. And also grants a following effect of when HP drops below 70%. You get ignore sure hit for 3 turns, which is nice. I mean, it gets rid of the potential like 100% accuracy abilities, but at the same time, it's also not super incredible because, I mean, if they just have generally high accuracy, well, they'll probably still be able to hit you, but it is one of the things Evasion wants. Also grants auto restore 10% for 4 turns. Can't say that I'm super excited about that, but all in all, this ability is a lot of stuff for very little value. All right, next ability, select up to 2 targets, reduce counter chance by 100 for 3 turns, decrease elemental chain resistance for target, automatically cast another target, and absorb damage done to the target. It is a multi-hitter too, so chain resistance, little bit bad there. That's her Curtain of Light ability, which does increase AoE resistance by 25 for 2 turns for allies, grants protect for 2 turns for allies, and that's a kind of big AoE around her, so pretty nice. You can see right there, if, you know, her movement is quite high, so if she is casting this damage ability, there is a chance that if your other characters aren't super fast, this ability is just going to be a Rikku buff, which is good, but it's not as good, and at a 2-turn buff, I think you kind of want more out of it, as much more as possible. Job level 25 ability, Dispel, Protect, and Haste for targets, reduce physical damage taken, buffs for targets, 200% mod, 40% extra bonus if they have Berserk on them, dispels all buffs for targets, and physical and magical damage. So it's a lot of removal on an ability, but at the same time, I have to say that, again, it does, to get the most out of it, you do need Berserk, you do need the Limit Burst to trigger off, and I wonder about AP acquisition, Maybe it is connected to the evasion cards enough that it'll be just generally fine, but I wonder about her, if AP will become a kind of big problem for her and whether that will be something that we need to worry about. Either way, her Trust Mastery, looking at her kit, she has already Auto Restore, so you're basically going to be choosing some kind of Trust Mastery that is effectively built for that. Her own dagger just seems way too good for her. I can't imagine that the Reliquary ever replaces that. And just for armor, I guess anything to keep her survivable, because she is kind of at the start of the fight the potential weakest. And if she gets OTK'd from orbit, like just gets nuked from orbit, she'll survive, but I think it automatically puts her in a really, really bad spot. And status effects also may shut this character down before she gets going too terribly much. In terms of build, supports her own, her counter, her own, or Axe Knight. Sub-jobs doesn't particularly matter. And as for the build of equipment, mostly what we're seeing here is generally probably pretty good, including her own Trust Mastery seems generally pretty nice if she's going to be just soloing stuff. But that depends on whether or not she'll be soloing stuff. So when we come back, we'll take a look at this character and see if she is good enough. Because right now, even for team recommendations, I have a hard time saying, well, just Evasion or Evasion. Thanks so much for watching. As a matter of fact, have a little fun before we end the video. Who's feeling lucky? Is Umbra feeling lucky? Probably not. But let's see if Rikku pays us a visit. As we say in Japanese, onegai shimasu. Now hold on. See, that's why we hold on. Two VCs? Okay, just one VC. We got a rainbow. It's not a first year. I guess that's something, even though that is a wee bit of a crappy VC to get, as it's already maxed. I guess Rikku is a no-go for me. I'll stick with Yuna, who seems to quite like me. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Take care, and see you next time.